Hey, this is Blondeguygamer, and yes, you read the title right. The next Black Sheep game review is Bratz Rock Angels for the GameCube. Now, I'm sure the main question you all have for me is, why? Well, this is another patron request. This time being from Latricia Goodman, the second to give $10 per full review on my Patreon page, and their request was this. You know, when I started doing requests, albeit limited to a high tier of patrons, I was expecting the likelihood of doing bad games, but not of this caliber. I thought it was bad when Zero Master made me do Saber Urge 2, but clearly that wasn't going to be the worst of it. I guess I'll start by explaining what Bratz even are if you haven't heard of them.
This game is based off the doll line of Bratz, which if I were to describe them, think Barbie but a little more rebellious with no visible noses and bigger heads, eyes, and lips. Oh, and add a Z to Bratz and Rock Angels because it's so trendy. This should come to no surprise, but I haven't had any of these dolls, nor do I want to. Though quite a few girls did get them, so merchandising happened and low-budget direct-to-DVD CGI movies came about, including one on the Rock Angels line, so a low-budget video game was also made to coincide that, since they need to milk as much as possible from these toys because marketing. This is actually not the first Bratz game to be made. That one, from what I can gather, was on the PC in 2002, which got ported to the GBA and PlayStation in 2003. And several more were made after this, but Rock Angels will be the only game I go into. Because it's a game about dolls designed for young girls, I literally have no desire to play this or anything else Bratz related. And if the quality of Barbie video games are any indication, my expectations for this are at the lowest possible point. I would rather do a Black Sheep game review on games like Sonic 06 or Superman 64, because while beating dead horses, at least I could have something going into those. And besides, if I were to do Bratz Rock Angels for comedic value, even that has already been done in the game reviewing community. Anglez did so and even had little girls destroy the game. How can I top that?
Okay, I shouldn't let the fact that a more popular game reviewer already did a video on something I'm doing discourage me. I still plan on doing my own take on this game, even if people accuse me of ripping off Anglez anyway. Plus, at least I'm not doing a parody review first like I did with Nuts and Bolts, which wasn't that funny to begin with. So I'll spare you my horrible British impersonation for this game. Speaking of which, let's not stall any longer and actually play it. Things I do for this channel.
Bratz Rock Angels came out in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. There are also PC and Game Boy Advance releases, but I'm obviously just sticking with the console version. It was published by THQ and developed by Blitz Games, the latter of whom made quite a few games before shutting down in 2013, which were mostly other licensed stuff of equal dubious quality.
In fact, let's quickly go over what some of those games were. Yeah, that's not surprising. Neither is that, really. What? They made that? Talk about a contrast to the doll games. They made the Burger King games? Oh man. Oh, I actually heard that one isn't bad. Wait, their first game was Glover of all things? Okay then. I think that one speaks for itself.
So our game's story begins with one of the four main Bratz characters, Jade, getting an intern job for a fashion magazine called Your Thing. Once there, Jade is eager to present her new ideas for the magazine to the CEO, Bradine Maxwell, but she isn't allowed to, and is instead put to work on numerous menial tasks. Well, so far I say this is an accurate depiction of an entry-level journalist job. If that wasn't enough indication that the magazine industry isn't as glamorous as Jade thought, a pair of twins, called the Tweevils, who are the mean girls and not a very subtle jab at overly pink conventions, deliberately tell Jade to get the wrong food for Bradine's lunch. The CEO doesn't take too kindly to being offered fast food. Even though with the women being as skinny as they are here, I'm sure it wouldn't kill her to have a cheat day with a burger. So Jade promptly gets fired! It even goes as far as saying that her children and grandchildren are also fired. Over a hamburger. And with that, we start the game with Jade being really bummed out over getting fired, so much so that she explains the beginning tutorials in the most apathetic tone I heard a video game character do them in.
I suppose I should select that text from Chloe and press the A button to read it. If I felt better, I could use the Bratz planner screen to see what things I needed to do. I feel so down I can barely even bring myself to follow the arrow that's pointing towards the smoothie bar.
Well, to be fair, I would sound like that too if I were to explain how I made this review on the game.
Really? Bratz Rock Angels is the next request? I guess I better go to eBay and order a copy. Well, here it is. I'm gonna have to put the game in my Wii and start recording it with my HD PVR2. Man, I can't believe I actually played this game. I barely have any desire to open up Sony Vegas and edit it all together. If but not before I make my human sacrificial offer. One moment.
So if you were ever to play a game that screws up the simple nature of just running around in a 3D space, then Bratz Rock Angels will be one of them. The best I can describe the movement is that it's like you're constantly on ice and it instantly does not feel good to control these girls in the game. It's pretty much as bad as you would expect it to be. Bumbling around as Jade, she goes to meet her friends Chloe, Sasha, and Yasmin to tell them the bad news and goes off to sulk on her own. So the rest of the group then plan to throw a party to cheer Jade up, which really translates into more tutorials. We learn how to buy clothes, because this is a doll game after all, and being able to apply makeup, which you can imagine how well that went when I decided what to put on Chloe's face. There, you like it? I call it Festering Zombie. I mean, if we're going to be trendy in a game about looks and fashion, we might as well go with something that's always been popular in video games. It's more or less the same reason why Konami is making the next Metal Gear game with them. After that makeover, we learn how to use our cell phones some more, which acts as a menu to know what your current objectives are and to send messages to your contacts. That's only mandatory in the tutorials to meet up with Jade. You can send text to other people in the game afterwards, but it's pretty pointless. Much like this entire game, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Once everyone is at Jade's place, the party is thrown, which only has the 4 girls and more tutorials. We learn how to change the music, which this track style perfectly sums up my feelings on any of the songs in this game, though I would rather have this version instead.
I don't care, I don't care what people think of me.
We can also pick our clothes and accessories that we acquire so far in the wardrobes, and then taught how to do posing. A minigame that couldn't be any less of one even if it tried. All you do is press a button or 2 or 3 and the Bratz make different poses depending on what you pressed. That's it. This is expanded upon later, but not by much as we'll see soon enough. So after boosting Jade's confidence with the party, the girls decide to start their own fashion magazine. So they rent a loft? How do these teenage girls have this kind of money? But it turns out to be a little dilapidated, so they just clean it up and make it their office for their magazine. Huh, that was quickly resolved. Why bother show that if we weren't going to fix it ourselves in-game? Well, seeing that this is the only other story CG cutscene in the game, I'm guessing what little budget the game had was already starting to run out. And so our game finally opens up into the main structure of this, or what little of one it does have. You pick a girl, go out to do a mission, switch to another girl, do another mission, repeat that with all 4, progress the story, and eventually you'll complete an issue of the magazine. Make 3 of them and you have the game in a nutshell. And doing all of that amounts to a boring fetch quest extravaganza, made no better with pointless features and bad controls for even the simplistic of things, such as getting around the town of Stylesville. I'm just gonna go with Motown, USA, because that's all it really is. While not a particularly large area, the slow movement and lack of doing anything worthwhile makes it a chore to go to one place to the next. You can find coins to add to your currency, which naturally are called blings. But here's the thing, doing tasks rewards you with quite a lot of money. As long as you do well, which is never hard to do for the most part, you can get hundreds or even thousands of blings. This makes picking up the occasional appearing coins chump change you don't need to get. Even when they sometimes turn into a circle of coins to awkwardly collect with the game's controls, it's not worth it. I only picked some up out of sheer habit. The only other collectible are player tokens that each of the 4 girls can grab 25 of. It reminds me of how you collect everything as each Kong in Donkey Kong 64, but here it's actually more tedious despite only having one thing to collect. I would much rather go for 100% completion in DK64, so I don't want to hear anyone complain about that game when this handles individual collectibles in a way that isn't fun or satisfying at all. Cementing that fact is character coins are only used to purchase concept art pieces and video clips that consist of the 2 CG cutscenes and trailers for the actual Rock Angels movie and music CD, which the console version of this game isn't fully based off of in case you couldn't tell so far. Only the PC version actually is, because bait and switch marketing works in wonderful ways like that. With your main currency, the only real useful thing to buy are the rollerblades, which do help you get around faster, but Jet Set Radio this is not, and they only alleviate the travel tedium a little bit when they take a couple seconds to put on or take off. The rest of what you can buy consists of more clothes, makeup, and other crap like ringtones and covers for your phone that are purely cosmetic. Certain fashion lines are required for a few missions, but other than that, it just affects how the girls look and doesn't integrate into the gameplay in any other way. The closest you have to that is characters remarking how good or bad your fashion is, and while mine isn't that great to begin with since I wear t-shirt and jeans almost all the time, the game is surprisingly strict if you try and experiment. Usually if you just wear a set from one brand of clothing, that's fine, but the moment you try and mix and match with different lines of clothes, suddenly you're a fashion disaster for doing such a thing. I just find it funny that we're given complete freedom with makeup and no one bats an eye at Chloe's zombie face, even when I add bleeding eyes and a dumb decal in another makeup tutorial, but when it comes to the clothes, oh no, how dare you wear treasure suits with those certain pants.
Remember kids, only wear what is fashionably acceptable. There's no need to express yourself with whatever you want to wear. Because freedom is the front of commercial fascism.
Needless to say, there's no good incentive to buy all the clothes because of that. Though you do get to design your own shirts, but in a very limited way. As in, your options are one shape with one color and choosing between a few logos to put on. That's it. All the while using a slow as hell cursor that I forgot to mention with the makeup portions as well. Same thing that applies to the poster you have to periodically make too. All you need to do is choose a pre-made background and slap some stuff over it. Doesn't matter how sloppy it is, it will still count because this is the shallowest form of graphic designing in a video game. The rest of the mission variety doesn't fare any better. There's a camera you get on your cell phones to take pictures of things now and then. NPCs also have missions that range from annoying fetch quests to buying discount clothes, yes, really, to running around and collecting papers that's only a slight challenge because of the stiff controls. In exchange for these mundane tasks, they provide articles for your magazine, which at least have a purpose. Unlike things like optional rollerblade racing and posting sessions you can partake in that only gives you more money you'll most likely not need or want to spend on anything. And yet you have to do variants of those in the story anyway, so why bother with these other than to pathetically try and make this a sandbox game? Going back to the story, the girls get invited to cover a punk rock group in London, England, but soon after that, the tickets get stolen by the Tweevils for Your Thing, who are of course right next door, so it's no wonder they were able to. The plan the Bratz come up with is to lure the twins away by pouring a fake pink sale with a poster we make, and then disguising as a Tweevil to sneak into Berdine's office and take the tickets back. Okay, as ridiculous as this is, it doesn't amount to much. All the tedious preparation to make a poster and the disguise isn't worth the 20 seconds of carefully going around loose papers, no matter how funny the sneaking animation is. With the tickets back in the girls' hands, we go off to London, which should at least be something mildly interesting as we're going to a brand new area of the game, but when we arrive, it's about the size of a city block. Okay, now I'm convinced what little budget they had ran out of the locations you traveled to be this small with only a few building stores and NPCs with stereotypical accents. Granted, with the way the game handles areas as it is, going around a bigger city wouldn't be all that fun, but if you're going to have the ability to go to different locations around the world, don't undermine it severely by restricting them this much. And if that wasn't bad enough, apparently the band that was going to perform broke up and the girls no longer have their story. So what's the logical thing to do? Why start their own band to replace that show and do the article on themselves, of course? Oh, and it gets better. You'll need to purchase and dress up the girls in Rock Angel's clothes, then do a performance that you think would be some kind of crappy rhythm game with the girls playing a song despite no evidence of musical proficiency, but no. All you do is a bunch of poses on stage instead of actually performing. They're not even pretending to play the instruments that are on stage. This is not how a band works. So you do either 1, 2, or 3 button prompts depending on the difficulty you choose, and I should mention that despite the time limits for each set of prompts, if you do poorly at these, which is possible because even doing 2 or 3 button sequences of these won't work if not pressing the right timing the game wants, all that happens is not getting as much money. So yeah, no real consequences for doing bad in this game. And this isn't the last time we'll see this type of game, oh no, but it is the last we ever see the band the girls form because they keep going with their magazine to different venues, making the act of forming the Rock Angels utterly pointless other than to falsely advertise that it's a focus of the game. So somehow that completes the first issue of the Bratz magazine, and we have to do more of the same crap to fill the next issue. I think at this point making an actual magazine would be more engaging than doing one in this game. Eventually the next big gig is in Paris, France, and guess what? This area is even smaller than London! I can't stress how much this bothers me. Sure, Malltown, USA is no Grand Theft Auto City, but you're telling me that this is somehow more expensive than 2 prominent European cities? Or maybe the developers realized that walking around as a badly programmed Bratz in a large environment wasn't fun, so instead of fixing the movement, they had to cut corners and make the 2 other areas small in a weak attempt to streamline them. Regardless of the reason, when the Bratz reached the venue, they found out a company called Pink Industries bought out only to close the fashion show. And right on cue are the Tweevils that we now have to follow along at the right distance, and despite being clearly visible behind them, we learn by eavesdropping that Berdine used a fake company to buy out the venue only to prevent the Bratz from covering the fashion show. Keeping the theme of doing something idiotic to solve their idiotic problems, the girls decide to blackmail Berdine to reopen the venue, which the Tweevils then tell them how they will be able to. Okay, I just have a few questions. Why would Berdine buy out a venue with an obviously affiliated fake company just to stop a competing magazine that only has 1 issue out so far, I might add, from covering a fashion show when her own magazine would get more publicity and profit if she hosts the fashion show herself? Why do the twins willingly help the Bratz blackmail their boss? Do they not like Berdine either or something? Why am I picking apart a plot in a Bratz game when the amount of clothes take priority over gameplay and story in this? The little girls that got this game as a bad present could come up with a better narrative than this. So in order to blackmail Berdine, Sasha needs to dress in black clothes to be stealthy, even though this doesn't take place at night, and take a picture of the CEO while undergoing a beauty treatment, which, while cliched, complete with lime slices, is hardly something to blackmail over. To save herself the embarrassment, Berdine does reopen the venue, but informs the girls that the models went home after presuming the show has been cancelled. So, of course, the girls just get a bunch of French clothes and do it themselves! Because why not? They can get away with doing stupid poses to pass as a rock band, so they can just be professional models too because they're just that fabulous. Well, at least the posing sequences make more sense here than at the rock concert, which the girls now do in turns to drag this part of the game even longer. And that's the second issue done. Only one more to go. Actually, at this point I'm surprised the game is even still going. It feels like I've been playing for an eternity when it's really only been a few hours. Even with all that has happened in the story, nothing is really accomplished. There's no real sense of progression when you complete an issue or go to new locations only to discover they're so insignificantly small. So small in fact that at one point the game laughably has you take pictures of famous landmarks in both London and Paris, which are all conveniently crammed within eyeshot distance in the small town squares. If only sightseeing was that easy. This perfectly showcased how much the developers either didn't try or simply could not do, and being able to buy a bunch of crap to dress up virtual dolls and doing slight variations of the same shit we did before won't fill that void of nothingness. The only thing that does change is a couple new areas that unlock in Motown, USA after each issue. The first does open up some more stores and allow you to loop around the entirety of the mall, for what it's worth. The second is just a small park that only serves to provide a few character coins and take pictures of a couple things for missions. One of which is to take a picture of a couple on a secret date, because now we're going to high school paparazzi territory.
If I could catch them kissing, that'd be great.
There, good enough. I'm sure if you squint it looks like he's getting off to a handjob here. Let's just end this already. Everyone but Jay gets job opportunities, forcing them to go their separate ways, so before they do, they have one last fashion show in this
mansion
that serves as the final new place to go to, and is just as small as ever. However, after all the bittersweet goodbyes, the Tweevils want to meet with Jay to inform her of something. It turns out Chloe is now working as Berdine's intern and signed a contract without reading it so she couldn't quit. You seriously didn't read a single thing from the contract to even know where you were going to work at? So Jade decides to retrieve Sasha and Yasmin from London and Paris respectively, who are also tricked by Berdine into getting jobs that weren't as glamorous as they were told. Actually, is it really that bad? I mean, a job is still a job that many would still appreciate having, and sometimes you have to deal with some crap at first, especially when you get them in London or Paris. Oh, what's that, Yasmin? You couldn't afford the fashion college program you got accepted into and had to get a job as a flower girl? Oh, boo-hoo! A lot of people do that sort of thing in order to go to college, let alone pay off student loans afterwards. Forget simply brats, these are spoiled privileged brats. So with Sasha and Yasmin rescued, they attempt to help Chloe even though they still can't really do anything because of the contract. So how do they get her out of the job? Well, the Tweevils open a window with no actual animation of them doing so, and the papers fly out of it. Or we're supposed to, even though the game doesn't show that.
The developers hoped no one would actually get that far to see their inability to animate that, didn't they? Then again, the beginning cutscene has a form where I'll go right through something, so clearly no fucks were given right from the start when it came to quality control. Just like mine, really.
And now we have the closest thing this game has to a boss fight, where you have to race Berdine to collect the 3 pages of the contract before she does. With the rollerblades, you can easily speed past her, but that can actually be a problem. If you collect one page far away, Berdine will be close to the next and head towards that page before you do. So you actually need to be only a little bit ahead to get the contract and save Chloe from her job. So that's the end of the game, right? Nope! We still got one more fashion show because the girls simply can't get enough of them. Alright, you bitches want one last show? Oh, I'll give you a show, alright. I'm dressing you up in all sorts of clothes. I'll give you all makeovers. I'll draw a dick on this face because I've now completely lost what little self-reservation I've had when I started playing this game. I'll even play this on the hard difficulty because why not? Yes, do all the sultry poses in your slightly suggestive outfits that makes me a little uncomfortable knowing these girls are most likely underage. Give me all the blings that I don't need. Alright, we did it. Now let's see that ending. Okay, it just needs to load.
It's not gonna load, is it? I'm gonna have to do that part again, aren't I? Go figure, right? I actually put some effort to go out with a bang and then the game breaks on me right before I can finish it. Not since I've played Strider Returns have I felt this stigma of playing with garbage.
So what do you get if loading the ending doesn't freeze the game? The girls explain that their magazine is selling well and that your thing isn't. The Tweevils are now working at the smoothie bar, and the Bratz say they will give what the fans want. Rock Angels. Which is what this game should have been in the first place. We then get credits in the same Rock Angels movie trailer we can purchase in game plays, only with the sound mixing screwed up so we can't really hear it. Let's fix that and listen to what the actual Rock Angels music sounds like, shall we?
We walk this earth with fire in our hands.
Okay, no. I wish. It's just some preteen faux rock pop stuff you would expect. Oof, that was a doozy. While the game certainly met my expectations of how poorly and cheaply made it was going to be, that still doesn't detract of how dreadfully non-entertaining this was. If you had a nostalgic connection with this game or wanted to see how bad it is for some laughs, it's not worth it for those. I know I'm clearly not part of the intended audience, but the problem is that with something as vague as Bratz to make a video game based off of them, all you have to work with is a fashion-based game that tries to structure itself with very simplistic tasks and minigames to cater to the toy line's target demographic that simply did not work, at least in the way they did it for this game. Add a very shallow story with 4 playable characters that barely have any, if at all, defining characteristics. The only ones I could tell was Sasha being the more musically inclined girl and Yasmin being the most flexible in order to take the blackmail photo, and you have a very pointless game to actually go through. And if you were to just play the game to customize the girls, that quickly gets old, and not even the game's cheat system is anything good to mess around with. All the codes do is get you more money, clothes, ringtones, or change the outfit of an NPC. That's it. How do you manage to make a cheat code system not fun to use? I don't think I need to tell you how bad the game looks even for 2005 standards. Though would you believe that this game was actually made in renderware? The same engine used for Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas? Yeah, me neither. It's a wonder this game even stays together when at times it looks like it's about to fall apart at the seams. There were even moments the phone menu didn't show up properly, because this game is that well made. Let's just say that even if you were into the Rock Angels at the time, we should not forget that they took an all-purpose Bratz game for the consoles and just slapped Rock Angels on it because they were too lazy to change their marketing campaign, basically tricking the already gullible family members that most likely bought this for girls. Only a small portion of the game has Rock Angels content, with the rest of the tie-ins being advertising for the movie and music. The latter I already said I didn't care for. Same with the voice acting, as it's the stereotypical teenager tones I can't really stand. Wait, Jennifer Hale was in this? Well, I mean, voice actors do a lot of roles, but really? I should also point out that for something that you would expect to be in a heavily musical game, the music actually doesn't play all that often in the game because it only plays indoors, while it's dead quiet outside, adding to the already barren nature of city traveling. Why not have, say, the ability to buy an MP3 player in order to play music outside? They were around 2005. I suppose that would be asking too much out of an obviously near shovelware quality game based on dolls, so in the end I have no one to blame but myself for actually playing through it. And the patron that made this the next Black Sheep Game review, but that's besides the point. However, it would seem that in a ironic sense of poetic justice, the Bratz toy line isn't doing so hot these days from what I read. So if they do go under or on hiatus, this game will only serve as a reminder of poor mid-2000s toy marketing that gets made fun of years later by guys like me on YouTube with too much time and morbid curiosity on their hands.
Suffice to say, I'm never playing this again or anything else associated with Bratz. And if I were to ever have a daughter of my own someday, I'm sure as hell not going to subject her to this. Except maybe as a punishment if she does something bad. Now if you'll excuse me, I really need to play something good to cleanse the palate. You know what? I'm gonna go play the new Doom and pretend that everything I glory kill is a Bratz doll. So while I do that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Let us never speak of this again.
Hey, thanks for watching this. It was certainly not something I was expecting to do, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and haven't already, give a like and maybe even subscribe for future content. For other videos to consider seeing, there's State of Emergency 2 or my quick look at Mighty No. 9. I honestly would play both of those again instead of this Bratz game. There's also my Twitter for social media and my Patreon, which if you really want to help and support these videos, you can be the next request and have me do a game that's hopefully not something like this again. That about does it, so once again, thank you for watching and I'll see you all later.